Does a perfect day in Disney World actually exist? What about 5 perfect days? We're going to figure out how to build your perfect vacation here on DFV Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Okay, I know perfect is a pretty big claim, but the purpose of today's video is to set you up for success. I'm going to tell you which rides you're going to want to prioritize, which shows you're not going to want to miss, which restaurants to get up at 5:45 a.m. and book, and this is the most important part. I'm going to give you the best insider tips for 2022 and 2023 to get your trip as close to perfect as possible in Disney World. We're in the parks every single day making tons of mistakes so that we can make sure you don't make the same ones. Since we're covering a lot of ground in today's video, we've come up with printable checklists for each of the parks covering all your must-dos, our recommendations, and tips I'm covering here today. That way you got a nice little guide to refer back to when doing all your Disney World vacation planning. If you want these checklists sent to your email right now, make sure to go to disneyfoodblog.com/Disney checklists so you can get these downloadable PDFs sent to your inbox right after we wrap up here today. All right, let's jump into day 1. We are going to Magic Kingdom. Many folks make Magic Kingdom a priority park. It is the OG of the 4 after all, but not everyone walks away from a day in Magic Kingdom feeling like they were able to accomplish everything they wanted to do. Good thing that's not going to be you. There are over 27 rides in Magic Kingdom. Well, actually, in spring of 2023, that number is going to jump to 28 rides once Tron Light Cycle Run is up and running in Tomorrowland finally. So it's understandable if trying to get through them all seems kind of overwhelming. There are loads of tips to help with this, including choosing whether or not to buy Genie Plus, which of course is that My Disney experience, pay some money and bypass main queue lines at over 40 rides in Disney World. And getting those individual lightning lanes where you get to pay per ride and actually get a shorter line at the most popular rides. But if you want more Genie Plus guidance, you can always check out our really in-depth video on how to navigate that service. I don't want to bore you with all of that right now, but that's all in that video. You can go check that out if you're interested in using that service. And we're going to refer to it a little bit in today's video. But there are also plenty of non-paid tips to help you conquer as many rides as you like, so stay tuned. Now, let's prioritize the must-do rides in Magic Kingdom. It's very hard to do because there's so many of them. If you and your group love rides with a little more of the thrill element, then you're going to want to focus your energy on those Magic Kingdom mountains. These include Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which some argue isn't a mountain, but it looks awfully mountainy to me, and if you're stuck on it, like in nearly vertical position for like an hour in the hot sun, it does feel like a mountain, so we're going to call it a mountain. Now, how can you get through all these mountains in one day? You're going to have to start early, really early, especially considering the lines for all of these can get steep. Get it? Mountain steep? Oh my goodness. Now, if you're staying at one of the Disney-owned hotels on property, you'll have that early theme park entry perk, which is going to allow you to hop into any of the parks on any day 30 minutes before the parks officially open to the rest of the public. So use that if you got it. Although Seven Dwarfs Mine Train over in New Fantasyland is part of the a la carte lightning lane option, that whole thing where you can pay a set price to get a shorter line for just that one ride, because it does tend to see the highest crowds during the day, you can use that 30-minute time frame in the morning to get in line for this one ASAP if you don't want to get an a la carte lightning lane. And if you don't have that 30-minute wiggle room because you're not staying at a Disney hotel, you're still going to want to get to the park for rope drop. That's when they first open the park, and the earlier you can get started on your Disney day, the better. After that, you may want to head over to Space Mountain next, since it'll be located in the next land over, Tomorrowland, and relatively easy to get to. And then you could aim for Splash Mountain after your trip through space, which is located pretty much across the park in Frontierland, but you may also want to wait for the end of the day on that one, considering fewer people seem to want to get all sopping wet right before bedtime. What I do find is that Splash Mountain's line is a little bit shorter in the early morning, especially if it's chillier. I've definitely ridden Splash Mountain with a 5-minute wait in the early morning when it's like 50 or 60 degrees there in the fall and winter and spring. So if you're going during that time frame, hit up Splash Mountain early in the morning when nobody else wants to get cold. And then again, nighttime is a less busy time to ride Splash Mountain because people aren't actively trying to get out of the sun and the heat. Now, just keep in mind that Splash Mountain's not going to be viable for too much longer since it'll start undergoing its major retheme to Tiana's Bayou Adventure in the near future. It's projected to open in late 2024, so eventually they're going to close down this ride and start that reno. So it could get more and more popular the closer it gets to its official closing date, which has yet to be announced. We'll let you know when it is. Now, when you're in the Frontierland area, you'll be right next door to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Out of all the coaster mountains, this one tends to have the shortest wait time of the bunch. Each of the mountains are definitely solid first choices for Lightning Lanes, 2 for regular Genie Plus, but once again, I'd probably aim to get Splash Mountain or Space Mountain before Big Thunder Mountain, because the lines are just gonna be longer. Now, let's say you're more into the dark ride scene, or you've already hit up all the thrill rides and you're ready to experience the tamer options that Magic Kingdom has available for you. This park has lots of classic rides to fill your day. Peter Pan's Flight, Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, those are some of your most popular options that you're gonna wanna add to the top of your to-do list. But Haunted Mansion might just spike in popularity next year since it'll be adding another fan favorite happy haunt to its attraction, the Hatbox Ghost, whom you can already see over at Disneyland in Anaheim right now. And rides like Dumbo the Flying Elephant, It's a Small World, and Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid, those tend to have much shorter wait times than the others, though that doesn't mean they can't get long, but they do tend to make great filler rides when other queues are starting to look pretty intense. Though most rides in Magic Kingdom do have lightning lanes, there are some rides that don't, like People Mover and Astro Orbiter over in Tomorrowland. These aren't rides you're going to need to prioritize earlier or later. They're fun to hit up if their lines are fairly short, but do not miss the People Mover if you don't have to. It is a gem and totally meditative and worth the ride when you're run down after a day in Magic Kingdom. All right, it's possible to ride everything in one day. It really is. But if that's your goal, then we tend to enjoy having Genie Plus to lean on in Magic Kingdom. More rides equals more money's worth. If you do the Genie Plus route, you'll only be able to buy it on the day of your visit starting at midnight, and the reservations won't go live till 7 a.m. The sooner you can start booking your lightning lanes, the better off you're gonna be. Moving on to shows in Magic Kingdom. Though MK's got a lot of rides, like a lot, the shows are a good way to get some AC when ride lines are at their peak in the middle of the day. Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, Hall of Presidents, Country Bear Jamboree, and Carousel of Progress, those are gonna have minimum waits, old school animatronics, and a lot of Disney history running through their routes. There's really not a bad time to ride these, but I definitely wouldn't hit them up first thing in the morning since that's prime ride time you're not going to want to miss out on. You're going to want to use that ride time for the busier rides. And I'd say when you're starting to feel a little weak in the knees and need to get out of the sun for a bit, that's the perfect time to check these out. They'll give you a place to sit for a while indoors with blasting AC. Maybe you'll take a little nap in a couple of these. So just saying, these, keep these in your back pocket. Last year, PhilharMagic in Fantasyland got an extreme makeover with improved 3D and an additional Coco scene, which is gorgeous. And much like the other shows, PhilharMagic can be ridden at any time during the day, but that's another one that I probably wouldn't miss if you don't have to. It's pretty good. It's my mom's favorite. But of course, the big show you're going to want to check out is Disney Enchantment, the fireworks, which happens at the end of each Magic Kingdom night. For now, Disney Enchantment will be running its final show in 2023 and will be replaced by a new Happily Ever After nighttime spectacular. Yep, they're bringing back the Happily Ever After song, and they said it would be used in a new nighttime spectacular, so we'll see what happens there. And that's at a to-be-determined date next year. They didn't give us any date for it yet, but the 50th anniversary ends in March, so maybe April? I don't know, just totally speculating. But before that switch happens, you'll more than likely want to see the full-on projection fireworks combo at Cinderella Castle. So the best place to view Disney Enchantment is going to be Main Street USA. Plan to stake out your spot 30 minutes early. 20 minutes is probably fine if you're not there on New Year's Eve or something. And this area will be crowded, very crowded. So if you don't want to mess with the crowds and you want to just stick with just the fireworks, you can opt to watch the show from behind Cinderella Castle instead, which is a whole lot less people-y. All right, time for food in Magic Kingdom. Before I start listing off some of the restaurants that can help build your picture-perfect Disney Magic Kingdom day, keep in mind that with each park, I'm only going to be listing a select few that have really stood out to us over the years. So don't be mad if I don't talk about your favorite. Just let people know in the comments, hey, This is my favorite, and it didn't stack up for AJ apparently. So you can just put that in the comments for everybody else to read. We've got a full guide of every single Disney World restaurant on our 2022 DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining. That's over on dfbstore.com. So if you're thinking, AJ forgot this restaurant. No, I promise I didn't forget it. It's in the guide. Like, we've got it for you. It's just I can't put them all in this video. Anyway, that guide, it's got restaurant reviews, full color pictures, budgeting tips, recommendations. It's a project we are really proud of. And we've also got separate DFB snack guides for every single park to help you narrow down what treats you're really going to want to get and spend your money on while you're in the parks. You can buy those separately or in a bundle for a discounted price. All right, it's chow down time. The most popular restaurant in Magic Kingdom takes place inside Cinderella Castle at the signature dining experience, Cinderella's Royal Table. Here you're going to dine in a royal setting, like soaring castle ceiling, all kinds of medieval stuff going on here. And you get the chance to meet Cindy for a quick photo op. Because of the restaurant's popularity, you'll want to make an advanced dining reservation for this one. Those are going to open 60 days in advance before your visit, starting around 5:45 Eastern. And trust me, you're going to need to wake up around then to get these hotshot reservations. So set multiple alarms to motivate yourself to actually get up before the sun does. Though you can meet Cinderella briefly at Cinderella's Royal Table, this restaurant still hasn't returned to being full-on character dining like it once was before the 2020 shutdowns. There used to be lots of princesses in there all the time. Now there's just Cindy, and she doesn't really even come up to the dining room. So if you want to meet a lot of characters at once, the Crystal Palace might be a better fit for you. That's a buffet-style setup where you can meet the 100-Acre Wood Gang, which is Winnie the Pooh and Piglet and Tigger, and they're going to be there for pictures, autographs, and lots of hugs. Currently, the Crystal Palace is open for lunch and dinner, but when October 25th rolls around, breakfast will be returning as well. You can start making breakfast reservations right now, as long as it's at least 60 days before your Magic Kingdom trip. Now, if you're wanting something a little more unique, you can always hit up the Jungle Cruise-themed restaurant, Skipper Canteen, instead. So Skipper Canteen is a really good time. There's lots of puns and adventure-driven knickknacks, and this is one of those things that if you really like the Jungle Cruise, you should take some time to look around the restaurant and kind of look at the Imagineering and see what they've put in there. You can also ask for the hidden menu here to access even more unique secrets and eats. We love a secret menu here at DFB, and they definitely have some good secret menu options at Skipper Canteen. Not to mention reservations for this one are way easier to snag than you'll find at Cinderella's Royal Table. You may even find a reservation the day of. Just check the dining tip board on the My Disney Experience app and see if a walk-up waitlist or last-minute dining reservation is available. These may be a little tougher to come by on weekends or, busy holiday times, just a heads up, but on a regular old park day, it's going to be easier to eat at Skipper Canteen than someplace like Cinderella's Royal Table or Crystal Palace. Table service meals are a fun way to experience a unique side of the parks. But considering there are so many rides in Magic Kingdom and only so much time to complete as many as possible, sit-down dining could end up being a huge time suck for your perfect day in Magic Kingdom. And if that's the case, you're going to want to hit up something fast. So here are a few fast food spots that could buy you more time for rides, shows, and other Disney experiences if you hit them up instead. And they're still pretty good. Columbia Harbor House, is our favorite fast food restaurant in Magic Kingdom. It's in Liberty Square. It's got hearty grilled and fried surf and turf options, and it has Hush Puppies, which why wouldn't you get Hush Puppies if you can? And then Pecos Bill Telltale Inn and Cafe, that's close to Splash Mountain and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad and even closer to Country Bear's Jamboree. You can get large Tex-Mex dishes here like fajitas, nachos, and rice bowls. So that's a good one to hit if you've done the mountains and you need a break, you need to go to lunch before you hit the dark rides. Westward Ho, this is often overlooked, and it's Frontierland kiosk that has my favorite Magic Kingdom pastry, the Wendell's Bear Claw, and some other snacky options. They have that killer super thick bacon on a stick. Love that stuff. And you can also get flavored Joffrey's coffee here if you don't want to wait in that Starbucks line. And then Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe. That's straightforward theme park food. Burgers, chicken strips, hot dogs. It's a huge restaurant, so there's potential that you'll actually find a seat in that one. The seating areas are indoors, so there's AC. Cosmic Rays is going to provide, if you need something quick and you need to furnish for a lot of picky eaters, that's the one to choose if you're over there in the Tomorrowland or Fantasyland area. All right, if you decide to go the quick service route and you need a little extra snack pick-me-up when the middle of the day rolls around, don't skip out on those classic Magic Kingdom snacks. Some of our personal favorites include the savory spring rolls at the Adventureland Spring Roll Cart, regular and specialty Dole Whips at Aloha Isle and Sunshine Tree Terrace, and the corn dog nuggets with a side of plastic cheese for an extra $1 at Casey's Corner. Now, be sure to keep track of the weather. If a sudden Orlando rainstorm threatens to streak across the area and dampen your Magic Kingdom day, you may have to switch up your plans just a little bit. So keep an eye on that hourly forecast. Believe me, it is worth it. If it looks like it's about to spill and pour in lightning, don't get in line for any of the outdoor experiences like Big Thunder Mountain, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Instead, aim for some indoor experiences while you're waiting for the storm to pass. Depending on the severity of the storm, you may get the chance to see the very rare rainy day cavalcade come strolling down Main Street USA instead of the parade. So perhaps those afternoon showers mean a little bit of Main Street USA store hopping in your future. All right, now we're not done with Magic Kingdom yet. We've got a lot of insider tips we want to share with you. If you want to meet some of your favorite Disney characters, you're going to need to know where to track those all down. Though not every meet and greet spot has fully returned yet, like you can't meet Ariel yet, here are all the places you can find some familiar faces as of right now. Main Street USA, you're going to see Mickey and Minnie at Town Square Theater, and Snow White is usually on the Town Square Theater porch. In Fantasyland, you can meet Disney Princess in Princess Fairy Tale Hall. Princesses often include Rapunzel, Tiana, Cinderella, and Elena of Avalor. However, sometimes a visiting princess may take the place of one of the regularly scheduled princesses. For example, we've also met Ariel and Jasmine here. This is the most popular meet and greet spot, so lightning lanes are available for it too. You might also sometimes find Merida at Fairy Tale Garden, Peter Pan near Peter Pan's Flight, and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger at the Thoughtful Spot at the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. In Adventureland, Aladdin and Jasmine like to pay a visit at the Agrabah Bazaar from time to time, and there are also random character encounters you may stumble upon too. Be sure to check My Disney Experience and the Times Guides. By the way, those Times Guides are super handy. You can find them when you're first walking into the park, or guest services will be able to get you one, and that'll show you all the character times, their appearance times, it'll show you parade times. All of that information is in the Times Guide. Makes sense, right? You can also meet characters in passing during the daytime parades and cavalcades. Now, you're not going to meet them, you're going to see them, I should say. The main parade is Festival of Fantasy, which usually shows twice a day, once at noon and at 3. And these are good times to also try getting back in line for some of the other popular rides, since lots of guests are going to go to the sidewalks to watch the floats. But if you got a kid in your group who wants to meet characters but is still kind of skittish when it comes to meeting them face to face, Festival of Fantasy allows them to wave at them from afar without all the extra meet and greet stress. If you need a break from riding rides and meeting characters, stick around Adventureland a while longer to try the interactive experience A Pirate's Adventure: Treasures of the Seven Seas. This is a completely free treasure hunting experience with lots of immersive elements. Just track down the Crow's Nest building to begin. This building is just outside of Adventureland on the path leading you towards Frontierland. Now, before the 50th anniversary celebration wraps up next year, make sure to take the time and visit each of the golden statues sprinkled around each of the parks. There are a lot in Magic Kingdom alone, so I think our DFB post in the description down below will help you find them all. It's kind of like Pokemon. Now, a few more super exclusive insider tips. On the day of your Magic Kingdom visit, you're going to need to get to your resort bus early, like really early. Many other guests are going to have the same idea and want to get to the park just as soon as they can to hit the ground running. So you don't want to be caught in a huge line waiting for the complimentary transportation to get you up to the front gate of the park. So get to that bus early and you'll be one of the first ones on. If you want to try avoiding those bus crowds entirely, it might not be a bad idea for you to look into investing in a room on the monorail loop. Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, and Contemporary Resort are all within walking distance to the Magic Kingdom. They're just going to cost you more for that convenience. For a cheaper alternative to skipping the bus line, you can also order a rideshare service like Uber or Lyft or even a minivan to come pick you up, but you will have to pay a fee for those services, which fluctuates daily. But you know, time is money in Disney World, and not having to wait an hour for a bus ride can definitely get you more time in Magic Kingdom, so it might be worth a $15 rideshare over to the park. But note that those rideshares for Magic Kingdom do have to drop you off at the Transportation and Ticket Center, so if you can book a minivan, they can drive you right to the front of Magic Kingdom. Now, you know how I was talking about all the must-do rides of the park earlier? Well, here's another little tip. If you can, come on back to Big Thunder Mountain to ride it at night. Even if you do ride it during the day. That's because Big Thunder Mountain feels like a different ride once the sun has set. You can see all the details in the caves lots clearer, plus the eerie lighting effects that pop up in the nighttime, which helps set the mood. Now, is this a requirement? No. Is it an insider tip that it's kind of cool to ride it at night too? Yes. And since we're talking about Magic Kingdom's nighttime shenanigans, make sure to check Disney World's park hours calendar on their website before your visit to make sure you're not accidentally getting tickets and park pass reservations for a Magic Kingdom day that wraps up earlier than you were expecting. When Magic Kingdom's hosting their after-hours holiday parties, like Mickey's Not So Scary and Mickey's Very Merry, the park will close on those days around 6 p.m., which means no fireworks for you unless you have a party ticket. So be sure to make sure you're not booking a Magic Kingdom day when it closes early. And if you don't really care about the fireworks, you're still going to want to visit Magic Kingdom on the days where fireworks shows are happening, because during those shows, lines for the rides tend to dwindle a lot, meaning you can squeeze in some last-minute heavy hitters while everyone's gathered around on Main Street USA. If you do care about the fireworks and projection shows, so much so that it makes you nervous to think about navigating the massive crowds to see them, then you can consider making reservations for a Disney Enchantment dessert party. I'm going to link our DFB post below that'll give you more details about the different package options you can look into booking before your big trip. Okay, let's get back to the daylight hours again. Let's say your kids need to run off some extra steam so that maybe they'll actually take a quick nap in their stroller while you're walking around. Head over to the Dumbo ride queue line. There's a kids play area they can enjoy while they're waiting for a turn to ride your own flying elephant, and that's a good place for them to just sort of explore and get out from under your thumb a little bit. Now, you can also go to the less popular Tom Sawyer Island. Seriously, nobody really seems to go there, since there's not a whole lot going on in that section of the park, but it is a great place to relax and let the kids run around without worrying about them getting lost in a sea of people or, tripping a bunch of people. That's a great place to go if you just want to take a breather, take a break, and feel like you're back in the original Magic Kingdom. Now, speaking of escaping, you can always take a little ride around the monorail loop and do a little resort hopping, or take a boat ride over to Wilderness Lodge to grab a snack at one of their cozy lounges if you need to escape from the sea of people in Magic Kingdom. You can always come back later on. Even if you decide not to use Genie Plus, the My Disney Experience app can still help you track the wait times throughout the day. That way you can find out immediately when a wait time for a certain ride drops or spikes without having to trek all the way over to that ride and find out the hard way. And although you can only reserve one lightning lane at a time, you'll be able to grab your next one immediately after you've used your previous one. Or you'll be able to book your next ride after 120 minutes have passed since your last reservation was made. Now, if that sounds confusing, again, we have a whole video all about Genie Plus and the 120-minute rule, so definitely go check out that video next. Got all that? Great. Time for day 2. All right, sports fans, who's ready for Epcot? Speaking of sports, you guys watching the Buffalo Bills? I'm watching the Buffalo Bills. Fingers crossed this year, y'all. I think this is going to be our year. Okay, you've got 4 different lands to explore in Epcot: World Celebration, World Nature, World Discovery, and World Showcase. Because Epcot is so spread out, you're going to need a solid game plan to get everything done in a day. So let's start planning. Starting with rides in Epcot. Epcot isn't a ride-heavy park like Magic Kingdom, so being able to hit everything in one go is definitely possible in a single day, even without Genie Plus. But that being said, Epcot is a very involved park, so you're going to be filling up your day with lots more than just rides. So prioritizing your must-dos is going to be key to your best day ever. Let's start with the newest rides in Epcot: Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. Guardians is currently the newest ride in Disney World. It's got a backwards launch, 360-degree vehicle turns, and a rockin' soundtrack that's random every time you ride. It's also currently using the boarding pass system, which means you're going to need to enter a virtual queue instead of waiting in a super long standby queue. Boarding groups go live at 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. daily on the My Disney Experience app, and because of the ride's popularity, they are going to fill up real fast. So if this is a must-do ride for you, try to aim for that 7 a.m. virtual queue drop. That way, on the off chance you miss your window of opportunity, you'll have a safety net, and you'll also get a chance to try again at 1 p.m. Cosmic Rewind is also available on the a la carte lightning lane options, meaning you can pay a separate price to guarantee your ride. But even these lightning lanes book up a little faster than others do. So here's what you're going to do. Try getting in the virtual queue at 7 a.m. before you grab a la carte lightning lane for this. If you miss your chance at a boarding pass and you don't want to take your chances on that 1 p.m. virtual queue drop, then go ahead and do the lightning lane purchase for this one. I would say of all the rides in Disney World, this is the one that I will go ahead and do the pay per ride option for it because it is such a popular ride at the moment. All right, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure over in the France Pavilion used to have a similar setup to Cosmic Rewind when it came to a la carte lightning lanes and boarding groups, but now it's a part of the regular Genie Plus ride list. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is super close to Epcot's second park entrance, the International Gateway, which is close to the Epcot area hotels over there, Boardwalk, Beach Club, Yacht Club, and right next to the Skyliner as well. If you're starting your day in that area at one of the Epcot area hotels or one of the Skyliner hotels, you'll be able to enter through the International Gateway when the park opens and head over to Remy's first thing in the morning. And that's your game plan if that ride's on your list, because that's going to be the hardest one to ride probably other than Cosmic Rewind in the park. Now, if you're entering from the park's main gate, you can still make the trek over to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure for an early morning ride, or you can hit up Test Track and Frozen first and wait until the evening when the crowds die down for Remy's. Okay, now that we got the New Kids on the Block out of the way, let's discuss some of Epcot's other popular rides. By the way, yes, I was a New Kids on the Block fan, and New Kids on the Block was my very first concert that I went to, believe it or not. Very old. All right, Soarin' and Livin' with the Land are located on the first floor of the Land Pavilion. Since they're pretty close together, you can hit up one, then the other back to back. Soarin' is going to have the longer lines of those two, since it's a fairly popular screen-based flight simulator that everyone always claps for at the end. It's an unspoken rule, you have to do it. That being said, wait times do dip for this one throughout the day and normally linger around the 20 to 30 minute mark, which is amazing since this was such a popular ride when it first opened. But that just goes to show there's lots of other popular rides in Epcot. Soarin' actually has a brand new third queue choice that's not part of the main queue or a Genie Plus queue. That's a single rider line. This is not always available, but if it is, you may be able to get through the line a little bit faster being part of the single rider line. There are only a handful of other single rider options available throughout Disney World, but if you can find them, they often provide shorter wait times for those longer rides. Not always, but often enough that sometimes it may be worth a shot just to get everything done that you want to accomplish. Single rider will break up your group though, so if you'd rather ride together, stick with the main queue and just wait things out. Test Track is another thrill ride in Epcot with the single rider option. However, the wait times for this one are pretty reasonable if you go right when the park opens. So again, if you start at the front of Epcot, hit up Test Track first. If you start at the back of Epcot, go to Remy's first. And then there's Frozen Ever After, located in the Norway Pavilion, which is a family boat ride featuring Elsa, Anna, Sven, Olaf, Kristoff, and Marshmallow, the ice monster. Be warned, he's going to send you down a little drop that you might not be expecting from a dark ride. Frozen Ever After is a good one to grab a lightning lane for, since the line tends to creep outside the building and extend into the neighboring China Pavilion at times, but you can also aim to ride this one at the very end of the night, and it'll be a shorter line probably. By the way, your wait could be even shorter if you hit this one up while Epcot's Nighttime Spectacular is going on, but you don't have to jump in the line around then to experience this ride if you don't want to miss out on the big show. Looking for rides that are basically walk-ons? Well, you got Spaceship Earth, which is the best ride in the park, so I don't know why it's a walk-on, but it is. Grand Fiesta Tour, starring the Three Caballeros, also a great ride, solid ride. The Seas with Nemo and Friends, and Journey into Imagination with Figment, those can all be ridden pretty much any time. If you see them pushing a 20-minute wait or beyond, don't get in line. They should majorly drop it sometime during the day for you to head up later. All right, it's showtime in Epcot, y'all. During the Epcot festivals, you can catch a live band performance or the candlelight processional if you're visiting around the holidays on the America Gardens Theater stage in the American Adventure Pavilion. Shows are usually pretty easy to catch during their limited afternoon and evening performances, aside from the candlelight processional, which brings in huge crowds, so you're so not going to want to underestimate that one. Just don't get caught up in all the World Showcase offerings and forget about these performances altogether. There aren't many showtimes for these groups each day, so if seeing one of the bands is a big deal for you, then add it to your itinerary for sure. Later in 2023, you'll be able to catch these types of festival performances and many others at the brand new Communicore Hall and Plaza, we think anyway, which is currently in the works and will become a main hub for the Epcot festivals once it opens. While you're making your way around the World Showcase, there are a few shows you can stop at for a quick pit stop if you need a much-needed out-of-the-sun break. These films are located in the Canada, France, and China Pavilion, and though they're not the most exciting things you're going to experience in the World Showcase, they've got air conditioning. They're also pretty quiet, so if you're looking for an escape from the crowds, there you go. The American Adventure Pavilion has a much more impressive show. This is one that my dad and I used to go to all the time. It features numerous audio animatronics that recount vital points in American America's history. But it's currently closed for refurb till the foreseeable future. We'll let you know when it's back up and running again pronto. But the big show you're really going to want to check out, of course, is the Fireworks Harmonious, which takes place on the World Showcase Lagoon. Harmonious takes classic Disney songs and performs them in several different languages, making a nighttime spectacular with international influences and tons of special effects like shooting water, pyrotechnics, productions, and of course those fireworks. Much like Enchantment, Harmonious's time in Epcot is coming to a close. We don't know what show's going to replace it next year, but what we do know is that you're probably going to want to see this one in all its glory when you visit before it disappears for good. The front of the World Showcase, i.e. the area between Mexico and Canada, where you'll find the main World Showcase gift shops, is going to give you a straight shot of that performance, and that includes all of the projections on the water screens. But since Harmonious does happen in the middle of the World Showcase, it's easier to find a good viewing spot for this one, even 10 or 15 minutes before showtime. A few of our favorite places to watch this show are behind the Rose and Crown in the UK pavilion on the right or left-hand side, where there's a lot of patio space, as long as there's still room available. To the right of the Torii structure in the Japan pavilion, on the Italy patio, as long as there's not an event going on here, which will block off this area for the rest of the evening. And the big open area between the Mexico and Norway pavilion, with no obstructions whatsoever. Okay, food time in Epcot. You know how Magic Kingdom has the most rides? Well, Epcot has the most dining options, but then again, it's got 11 different countries for you to potentially eat in, so that makes sense. The highlight of Epcot dining is all thanks to its 4 different festivals that happen throughout the year, at least for us anyway, and that includes Farts, Festival of the Arts, Flower and Garden Festival, Food and Wine Festival, and Festival of the Holidays. Very rarely will you visit Epcot and a festival won't be happening, so you want to see all the different food booths that'll be available during your visit to narrow down your must-eats before you get there. Otherwise, all these different options are going to be super overwhelming, and you're just going to end up eating soggy burgers, and I don't want you to do that. By the way, we also have detailed festival guides on the DFB store website too. The Best of the Fest YouTube videos are going to tell you what to eat at the festivals. So we got you covered if you want recommendations for those festivals. Now, what if you don't want to taste test items from around the world? What if you want a full meal that's out of this world? Well, that's when you want to prioritize Space 220. It's a highly immersive restaurant that's set in the Centauri space station, because of course it is, with giant windows that look out toward space. The menu options here aren't the best by any means, but the atmosphere is top marks and maybe worth a visit if you've got an aspiring astronaut in the family. This is kind of a one and done for us, but a lot of people still want to get in there and see it because it's not something you can kind of go into and check out unless you have a reservation. So that's why reservations are really hard to come by here. Now, if you want something a little classier, you can book a table at Le Cellier's Steakhouse, which has a menu of signature poutines, tender steakhouse cuts, and that oh-so-famous Canadian cheddar cheese soup, which is epic, and I think we have a recipe for it on the blog, so there you go. That's a good one for the winter. And speaking of comfort foods, Rose and Crown Dining Room has a bunch of that stuff, like bangers and mash, really, really good bangers and mash. But, I mean, it's hard to screw up sausage and potatoes, but it's really good here. And fish and chips there as well, really good fish and chips. But if you want an even cheaper option for fish and chips, the Yorkshire County Fish Shop next door has the same entree for lots less money. In fact, it's usually the only entree on the Yorkshire menu, but it doesn't need another option. It's a chippy, right? Okay. The fish and chips have got things covered on their own. And of course, we're talking about Epcot, and I'm AJ, and so that means we're going to talk about Garden Grill. On the second floor of the Land Pavilion is the Garden Grill character dining experience that not only serves some top-notch comfort food classics, but also is set in a slowly rotating dining room. So you may look up from your mashed potatoes and mac and cheese and find your view to be different than before. It's like a meal and a show. But don't worry, you don't have to rely on festival booths alone for fast food. Here are some quick service meals that have served us well time and time again. L'Éole Boulangerie Patisserie in the France Pavilion. They've got numerous pastries and croissant sandwiches at reasonable prices. By the way, if you do hit up Remy's Ratatouille Adventure first thing in the morning, the Creperie is over there too. Brand new crepe table service restaurant and fast food location. That's a great place to grab a crepe while you're headed to wait in line. Or, go ride the ride first and then get the crepe. Also, Regal Eagle Smokehouse in the American Adventure Pavilion. That's got barbecue options inspired by the regions in this nation that are known for their famous barbecue stylings. You know who you are. Karamelkusha in the German Pavilion isn't going to fill you up. It's not like a meal, but it's got really, really good dessert, so definitely check that out. And La Cava del Tequila in the Mexico Pavilion, if you want to drink your lunch, that's a great place for margaritas, but it does have really great chips and queso and guac, so it's definitely going to be a good place to have a couple of margaritas and chips and dips. And Connections Eatery and World Celebration. That's a new quick service location. That's where you're going to go with your picky eaters. Lots of seating, a few unique options. You've got the apple pie gelato shake, the curry spiced pizza, but you've also got your chicken tenders and fries, which that's what we all want. Now, here's some other important Epcot stuff. While you're making your way around the World Showcase, don't forget to really explore these different pavilions. Not only does each country have a lot of food, a lot of shops, and a lot of festival offerings, and in some cases a fun dark ride to throw in the mix, but many of them also have side exhibits and galleries that act as a mini self-guided tour through the country's history and current culture. These are great places to get a little AC, a little moment of peace in an otherwise busy park. You're going to find these at the Stave Church in Norway. You're going to find the American Adventure Gallery. Head over to Morocco and go into their gallery. It doesn't look like you can, but you can. There's doors, they open. Go in them. It's fun. And then, of course, over in Tokyo, there's a very, very cool kawaii gallery going on right now. And yes, you can also meet characters in Epcot too. Disney pals like Pluto and Goofy tend to hang out near Epcot's main entrance. Joy from Inside Out and Vanellope von Schweetz from Wreck-It Ralph chill inside Imageworks. Winnie the Pooh likes to spend time outside near the Imagination Pavilion, often chasing butterflies with his trusty net. And Mickey can be found in the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival building. Characters also tend to pop up all around World Showcase, especially the princesses, so keep your eyes open and double check on your My Disney Experience app in case they're listed there too. Be on the lookout for a Figment meet and greet next year as well. Our imaginative purple dragon friend will be found as a meet and greet character by the end of 2023. All right, time for those insider tips. Epcot knows how much guests love their food, so much so that they have specific dining packages that you can book for a meal and a show. If you want guaranteed viewing at any of the festival's American Garden Theater performances for the current Food and Wine Festival, you can purchase an Eat to the Beat dining package at some dining locations, including restaurants like Beer Garden, Garden Grill, and Regal Eagle if you want a cheaper one. Sometimes you can even make same-day dining package reservations, though it's always recommended to make them early on the Disney World website, just to make sure you have them on the day of your visit. There are also candlelight processional dining packages, but these go fast. So as soon as you hear about when these reservations are going to go live, we'll put it in our newsletter. You want to plan to get those reservations on the same day they release. Epcot's also got fireworks dining packages at Rose and Crown and Spice Road Table. Those are going to give you a meal and a great view of the harmonious nighttime spectacular, but each restaurant has vastly different offerings. So check over those prefix menus before making any reservations for either experience to make sure you're going to enjoy what they've got. Now, if you're really excited about trying one of those Epcot festivals on for size and you want to dress to impress while you're there, we've got festival shirts in the DFB store that you're not going to find anywhere in the parks. If you find a shirt in our shop that screams pick me, head over to our shop at merch.dfbstore.com and check out what's in stock. And one final Epcot note, you know that lovely little ride Soarin' we talked about earlier? If possible, try requesting a place in row B1. Cast members won't always be able to accommodate this, but it's definitely worth trying. This ride is stacked in the air. The second and third rows will have the top of the screen partially blocked by dangling feet from the guests sitting above them, and sections A and C sometimes have some serious screen distortion, so you're going to see a very tilted Eiffel Tower. So that's why we always request B1 on Soarin'. All right, third parks to charm, let's get to it. And we're headed to Animal Kingdom next. Do you just I feel relaxed already. Going into Animal Kingdom, it's so chill and zen, and there's just the animals and the sun filtering through the trees. I feel good. You feel good? We feel good. Okay. Don't let the name fool you. Disney's Animal Kingdom is not going to be a wild time. This is more easygoing. It's kind of a chill park, and I'm not complaining about that, but that doesn't mean you can't slack off on your planning here. Despite it being a more relaxing time, this is the biggest park on Disney World property. to make room for all those animals. So the more ground you can cover while you're here, the better off you're going to be. We're going to start with the rides. Out of the 4 Disney World parks, Disney's Animal Kingdom has the fewest rides, which is not a bad thing. There's still a lot to do at Animal Kingdom, and the rides they do have are a good time. You're just probably not going to need Genie Plus for this park since you're not going to get a whole lot of use out of it. The one ride that tends to see the highest waits throughout the day is, let's say it together, Flight of Passage over in Pandora World of Avatar. But then you can only get a lightning lane for this ride through the a la carte selections and not through the regular Genie Plus choices anyway. So if you do want to lock in and guarantee yourself a ride on this one with a lower wait time, you're going to have to buy pay per ride anyway. But don't be intimidated by those really high afternoon wait times. Flight of Passage tends to cut down its wait times by half of what they were during the day when it's getting close to the end of the day. So even if you do decide to wait for this one, it's not the worst queue to pass the time in. Actually, it's got some really fun theming with a full-on laboratory and a life-size Na'vi animatronic featured in the last room of the queue. I think the cast members call him Hank in the Tank. This is also one of the only Disney rides that has a mid-queue restroom, so you need to make a quick pit stop before jumping on the back of a Banshee. You can do that without having to fully exit the line and backtrack all the way out of the queue to find that relief. All right, Na'vi River Journey also tends to see pretty high wait times over there in Pandora. And although it's a cute boat ride with bioluminescent plants and one of the coolest ride animatronics out there, it's not a ride you're going to want to wait over 30 minutes for since it is pretty short. I'd say aim to ride this one early rather than later in the day. Kilimanjaro Safaris over in the Africa section of the park is one of those quintessential Animal Kingdom experiences you're not going to want to miss. Each time you ride, you're going to see different animals, and it's a full-on 20-plus minute safari across an expansive savanna. Sometimes it's even longer than 20 minutes if, like, an ostrich gets in your way and they don't want to move, because the cast members can't make them move. The animals run this joint. Now, avoid riding this one during the heat of the day, since the animals will be a lot less active and probably hiding in the shade like we should be, honestly. Surprisingly enough, one of the best times to ride this one is when it's lightly raining. The animals tend to love the showers, and you may even see the younger elephants playing in the puddles. All right, are you in the need of some thrills? Expedition Everest in the Asia section and Dinosaur in Dinoland USA are a little more intense. Expedition Everest is the park's only roller coaster and features an 80-foot drop, backwards momentum, lots of interactions with a certain Yeti who's tearing apart your mine train tracks, which is super rude. And Dinosaur may not have the drops or the backwards track, but this is still one of the only rides in Disney World that I'm too scared to ride. It does make you tango with gigantic dinos who want to eat your face, but it's all for the sake of science. So both rides tend to see the average wait times around 20 to 30 minutes long. So if you see them projecting longer than that, keep your eye on the My Disney Experience app so you'll know when the crowds start to die down at those. Expedition Everest does have a single rider queue, so if you really don't want to wait in the main line, you can bypass a good chunk of it by riding solo instead of needing a lightning lane for it. Okay, showtime in Animal Kingdom. There are 2 major shows in DAC. The first is Festival of the Lion King, located in the Africa section of the park. Festival of the Lion King is a party. There's singing, there's dancing, there's giant puppetry, there's tumble monkeys, who actually are usually former Olympic athletes, which is awesome. Depending on what section of bleachers you're sitting in will determine your team for this performance. You'll either be in the warthog, lion, giraffe, or elephant section. And that's not going to be like detrimental to your show experience or anything, but you will have to mimic your animal later on, and that's funny. There's not really a bad seat in the house, but if you want a better chance of your kids being able to participate in some onstage activities toward the show's conclusion, try to sit closer to the front where they'll be easier to see. The second show is Finding Nemo, the Big Blue and Beyond, which was recently reimagined to incorporate characters and scenes from the Pixar sequel Finding Dory. Again, the seating is stacked, so getting a good view of the performance isn't too terribly challenging, though the further back you sit, the more you're going to be able to see the whole picture of the performance. Both Festival of the Lion King and Finding Nemo Big Blue and Beyond have multiple performances throughout the day, so check those showtime guides and plan to get in line 15 to 20 minutes before the theater starts letting guests in. And then there's Inside the Tree of Life, which shows it's tough to be a bug. Cutting to the chase, we're not huge fans of this show, and you might not be either if you're not a fan of bugs getting all up in your literal physical business. But if you're looking for a multi-sensory 3D show centered around Pixar's A Bug's Life, then this show runs continuously all day long with very short wait times. Moving on to food. Now, these Disney World eats might be good enough to solidify a perfect day all on their own. Animal Kingdom is a great food park. For fast food, you'll always hear us singing the praises of Satuli Canteen, Flame Tree Barbecue, and 8 Spoon Cafe. Satuli offers customizable bowls and those cheeseburger pods that'll satisfy picky and adventurous eaters alike. Though there's lots of indoor and outdoor seating at Satuli, it can still get pretty packed out. So a good rule of thumb for quick service, whether you're dining at Animal Kingdom or any fast food location, is to use the mobile order app to order ahead of time. This will allow you to not only place your order, but also select a pickup window time frame that works best with your schedule. And dine during non-peak dining times. If you can order a late lunch or early dinner, or very early lunch for that matter, you're more likely to not have to struggle to find a table, and you won't get stuck behind a long line to order. Even if you mobile order during those peak dining times, it could still take a bit to get your food. There are mobile order lines as well. So just moving your dining time an hour early or an hour late can make a huge difference. So Flame Tree Barbecue is just good barbecue. You get a decent pulled pork, smoked chicken portions here for a more budget-friendly price. And there's great seating here too. Even though it's all outdoors, it's really chill and relaxed, and you can get a nice view of Expedition Everest. 8 Spoon Cafe is an unassuming little kiosk, but it's got some great baked mac and cheese options, as well as an interesting donut and pulled pork sandwich that can help curb both your salty and sweet cravings in one bite. If you got some picky eaters on your hands, Restaurantosaurus is one of my favorite fast food locations in all the parks because it's so much fun and there's so much Imagineering detail in that restaurant. It offers up typical theme park food. You got like chili dogs, you got burgers, stuff like that, and it's a kitschy setting. Really, take time to look at all the details. I love this restaurant. Tamu Tamu Refreshments is the place you're going to want to go for your traditional and specialty Dole Whip offerings in Animal Kingdom. And Kusafiri Coffee Shop and Bakery has some solid plant-based items like flatbreads and spiced potato hand pies, as well as quick and affordable breakfast options too. So if you're looking for some character dining, Tusker House has Donald and the gang all dressed up in their safari gear, ready to say cheese for some more than memorable photo ops and hugs and autographs. It's all back. It's all great. The food there's going to be African-inspired cuisine, but it's going to be definitely accessible. And I'm going to say right now that on the kids' buffet, they have some of the best corn dog nuggets and mac and cheese I've ever had. The mac and cheese there is really, really, really good. I can't explain why, but it's really good. Anyway, Yak and Yeti is probably my favorite table service sit-down restaurant in Animal Kingdom right now. And since they often have reservations available after the park closes, you don't have to worry about wasting daylight in the park. There are a lot of Pan-Asian inspired options here, including a shareables menu in case you want to save some money and split a meal with someone else. One of my favorite things to eat here is that firecracker shrimp. It's really, really good. And then there's Nomad Lounge, another all-time favorite of mine, which serves small plates from the same kitchen as its signature restaurant neighbor, Tiffin's. Now, Nomad Lounge is a hot spot and you can't make reservations for it ahead of time. So get a spot in line before the lounge opens up at 11 a.m. All right, how about a snack? We are all for the ice cream Sammies from Dino Bites, as well as the street corn from Harambe Fruit Market. And a few other classic favorites from the DFB team are the Night Blossom frozen drink at Pongu Pongu, which, by the way, you can spike to make it even more exciting. The Pongo Lumpia is one of our favorites. That's, of course, basically a cream cheese and pineapple spring roll. It's really, really good, but kind of divisive, so some of you may love it, some of you may hate it. Let me know in the comments what you think. The mini mango pie at Yak and Yeti local food cafes, and the animal decorated sweet treats at Zuri's Sweets Shop. Sadly, they don't have poop candy there anymore, which they had when they first opened, and then it left like 5 days later, which is super sad. That's what we all want. Now here's some other important stuff for Animal Kingdom. Do me a favor, don't skip over Animal Kingdom's walking trails. These are literally where I go to decompress when I'm in Disney World. Animal Kingdom's got 3 main walking trails: the Maharaja Jungle Trek, the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, and the Discovery Island Trails. These are fantastic areas to escape the crowds and also take in some scenery and say hello to lots of animals. Before you start exploring all the nooks and crannies Animal Kingdom has to offer, get your kid all set up for the Wilderness Explorers interactive experience too, so they can collect badges as they learn about the surrounding wildlife from Animal Kingdom wilderness guides. You can start your adventure at the Wilderness Explorers headquarters located on the bridge between Oasis and Discovery Island. Basically, you have to pass it to get into Animal Kingdom. Or at one of the other Wilderness Explorer Troop Leader locations featured around the park. Guess what? You've got meet and greet opportunities in Animal Kingdom too. You can meet your favorite Disney pals, Mickey and Minnie, at Adventurers Outpost. This one gets pretty popular, which is why there's a Lightning Lane option available. And you can meet Donald, Daisy, and Chip and Dale at Dino Land. Many characters, however, are exclusive to the Animal Kingdom park and roam freely around different areas, like Kevin, the massive colorful bird from Up, our good friend Divine, who's kind of hard to spot, but usually hangs out toward the entrance of the park these days instead of back in Africa. Sometimes you may be able to catch a character passing by down the river via flotilla. In the past, we've seen Timon and Pumbaa, Pocahontas and Meeko, Dino-rific Chip and Dale, the Fab Five. I think that Russell and Doug are on a flotilla now. And there are lots of other characters that'll swing by to catch a boat ride every now and then. And if you jump aboard the Wildlife Express train located in the Africa section, you'll be able to travel to Rafiki's Planet Watch. That's where you're going to find a lot of activities like the Animation Experience Drawing Class, the Affection Section Petting Zoo, the Veterinary and Nutrition Area where Disney's animal experts prep to care for the wildlife on site. You may have seen a lot of that in the Secrets of Disney's Animal Kingdom on Disney+. And they also will tell you about animal poop in the bathrooms there, so that's pretty important. All right, insider exclusive tips for Animal Kingdom, because it's fairly easy to get through what you want to do in Animal Kingdom in a day, or maybe even less than a day, depending on crowd levels. This might be a good park to use a park hopper ticket for, if you want to spend a little more time in one of the more involved parks. You can either start your day in Animal Kingdom, because it's one of the parks that opens the earliest, then hop over to a park that closes later at night, or you can hop over to Animal Kingdom for the second part of your day when the ride times go down, since everybody else is already hopping somewhere else. Also, if you want to add some extra spice to your park visit, you can tack on a premium behind-the-scenes tour, which is going to give you an exclusive look into animal care that happens around the park, specifically for elephants and rhinos. Behind-the-scenes tours also happen at Magic Kingdom and Epcot, so if you want a fresh and different look into the parks that few get to experience, check out the tours featured on the Enchanting Extras collection on the Disney World website. But I will say the rhinos and elephants tours are some of the less expensive ones, and they're really, really good tours, so that's definitely something to consider. One last note for good old Animal Kingdom, and then we'll move it right along. You can only get to AK by bus, if you're sticking with a complimentary Disney transportation, that is. Since buses can get congested with crowds, especially before rope drop, you'll want to plan to get up earlier for a better chance of getting ahead of the masses. Or, again, use that rideshare. 3 parks down, 1 to go. We're in Hollywood, baby, but much like the real Hollywood, things can get pretty fast-paced here. In order to keep up, you'll need a strategy or 2 or 3 or a dozen. When it comes to the rides at Disney's Hollywood Studios, you're going to have heavy hitter after heavy hitter after heavy hitter. This is going to be a very, very serious day for you for your perfect day situation. Those wait times can get long, but don't worry, we got you. We're going to help you. The rides that have the lowest waits throughout the day are going to be Star Tours over in Echo Lake, bless its heart, and Alien Swirling Saucers over in Toy Story Land, also bless its heart. But even those can push 30 plus minutes in the afternoon. Though Hollywood Studios doesn't have as many rides as Magic Kingdom, this is another park where Genie Plus is going to come in handy for you, especially if you don't want to spend the majority of your day waiting in line after line. Genie Plus can be real helpful here, so it may make sense to shell out the dough. Let's take a look at how to tackle each of these rides to make sure you're getting the best ride-throughs and lowest wait times, starting with the big one, Rise of the Resistance over in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Rise isn't just the most popular ride in Hollywood Studios. It is probably the most popular ride, period. Even those who aren't big into the whole Star Wars fandom situation are going to get a kick out of how incredibly immersive this one is. From its state-of-the-art animatronics to its trackless ride system, huge ride buildings. There's so much going on in there. You will freak out at how big those AT-ATs are, and it's got lots of pre-shows. There's a lot going on here. I think a cast member once told me there are 27 separate places that this ride can fail, which is probably why it is closed down a lot, because it's broken. Now, even if you got the early theme park entry on your side, most everyone who is using that extra 30 minutes of time will be going toward Rise. And there are 2 ways to go about this. 1, follow the crowd. Even if the wave of guests looks overwhelming, these crowd levels still won't be as bad as they'll get later on in the day. Or 2, go to another popular ride and pretty much walk straight on. Decisions. You can probably get 2 or 3 popular rides done in that 30 minutes before everybody else starts coming in, or you can do Rise. Those are your 2 options. You can also purchase an a la carte lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance, even though it tends to be on the higher scale of that fluctuating surge pricing. If you're having a hard time getting on this ride without it being over an hour wait, there's always a chance that those crowd levels will drop again toward the end of the night, but this is another one of those that if you're going to buy your way onto the ride, this is one of the ones that you should. Like, I personally will probably buy my way onto Rise of the Resistance and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at the moment, because it just saves you so much time, and time is money in Disney World. Now, there's even a bigger chance that they're going to start to dip. Those wait times are going to start to dip once we see Fantasmic return to the Hollywood Studios scene, which is still expected to reopen sometime this year. Lots of people are going to want to see the Prodigal shows return, meaning there's a strong chance all those folks who used to be filling up the Rise of the Resistance line at the end of the day are going to be over in the Hollywood Hills Amphitheater off Sunset Boulevard watching Fantasmic. So Rise might not have as long a line once Fantasmic gets going. We'll see. We'll keep you updated. We'll check it out. Joining Rise of the Resistance in the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge scene is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Smuggler's Run is definitely less popular than its younger Rise of the Resistance sibling, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its fair share of heavy wait times. That being said, you're probably going to see the lines for this one die down towards the end of the night big time. Each time you ride Smuggler's Run, you'll be given an assignment. You can be the pilot, where you get to fly the Millennium Falcon, a gunner, where you'll shoot down enemies that try to intercept your mission, or an engineer, where you'll make ship repairs when needed. Yeah, I still don't know how that works. There are 2 people per assignment. One will sit on the left-hand side of the ship and the other will sit on the right, meaning 6 riders total. The pilot is the most coveted spot of the 3, but it can also be the most stressful. A pilot can determine how smooth or how rough your ride's going to be. If you're riding with a kid who really wants to pilot the ship, you may want to put them on the right side position instead of the left. Why? Well, the right side pilot is in charge of the ship going either left or right. The left side pilot is in charge of the ship going up or down. But the up and down controls are inverted, meaning if you pull down, you'll actually be going up, and vice versa. If you're a big video gamer, you'll understand. Or, like an actual pilot. Left and right steering is pretty straightforward for first-time pilots. Plus, the right side driver is in charge of launching you into hyperspeed, and that is very, very cool. Smuggler's Run is one of 2 rides in Hollywood Studios that has a single rider line. So in case you want to try and bypass the lines that way, that's a possibility for you. The other ride that uses single rider is on Sunset Boulevard, and that's Rock and Roller Coaster. This is the park's high-speed launch coaster you'll probably want to hit up earlier rather than later on when everyone starts funneling into the park. And although the Tower of Terror drop ride is right next door, this one's a good one to wait for till night. Not just because the lines start to dwindle, but also because the vibes are way spookier once the sun sets. Both Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror can be intense for young riders, and some younger kids in your party may not be tall enough to ride just yet. So to make sure everyone in your party who wants to ride gets a chance to ride, you can use rider swap on these and on most other rides that are higher height requirements. Rider swap allows the first part of your group to wait in line, while 1 or 2 folks wait outside with those who can't or don't want to ride. Once the first part of the group gets off the ride, they'll be able to tag team those who needed to stay behind. These folks won't have to wait in the main queue all over again. Instead, they'll be able to bypass the line and jump on the ride right then and there, or go through the lightning lane. Just ask a cast member at the front of the attraction, and they'll get you all set up with a rider swap. Now, not every ride is going to be too intense for the whole family. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, located inside the replica Grauman's Chinese Theater, has no height requirement at all. It's the only ride in Disney World that stars Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Shocking, right? Right. This ride's really cute, super clever, but you may want to wait to hit it up later in the day rather than first thing. Lots of people see the Grauman's Chinese Theater first, and that's where they go first, meaning lines can actually be more intense for this one in the morning. But after the AM crowds die down, the line stays pretty consistent and is usually way more manageable toward the end of the day. But if the nighttime spectacular is happening the evening of your visit, Runaway Railway's queue is more than likely going to close an hour before the show starts, so don't wait too long for this one, otherwise you might miss it altogether. Now those are all really, really good tips. Let me go over them again one more time. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Lots of people are going to go there first because they don't know as much as you do, and they don't know that they're supposed to hit up Rise of the Resistance, Slinky Dog Dash, Smuggler's Run, etc. first. So they're going to go right there because that's the one they see first. So those lines are going to be longer in the morning. They're going to die down a little bit in the late afternoon. But this ride may close an hour before the show starts at night, the fireworks show. So you got to be on it and off it before it closes down. So definitely check out the closing time for that ride. Now, we've also got Slinky Dog Dash and Toy Story Mania over in Toy Story Land. 2 more family-friendly rides with the same theme, but vastly different execution. Toy Story Mania is a competitive arcade-style interactive ride that has no height requirement, and Slinky Dog Dash is a solid introductory coaster for kids and skittish riders in general. Of the two, Toy Story Mania has the shorter wait times and an air-conditioned queue, which is amazing. Slinky Dog has a pretty intense wait usually at all times with a partially covered queue that still gets really, really hot. If you don't want to prioritize Rise of the Resistance or you want to wait for that one later on, I'd prioritize Slinky Dog first, especially if you're traveling with a bunch of younger riders, or make it one of your first Lightning Lane choices if you decide to go that route. But that's my thinking is Rise of the Resistance and Slinky Dog are probably the 2 rides that I am going to prioritize getting on as soon as possible when I get in the park. Okay, showtime in Hollywood. Of course, you're going to have a bunch of rad show options in Hollywood Studios. The big 3 shows you can check out during the day are Beauty and the Beast live on stage, Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, and the first time in forever Frozen sing-along attraction. Beauty and the Beast live on stage. That's a Broadway-style retelling of Tangled. No, just kidding. It's Beauty and the Beast. Please don't hate me. This live performance takes place... I know, it's so bad, isn't it? This live performance takes place in a covered stadium-style outdoor theater off Sunset Boulevard, so you don't have to worry about any seat being particularly bad here. Performances happen several times throughout the day. They'll be listed in your park guide and the My Disney Experience app, so you just want to kind of keep an eye on that. And if that's something you want to prioritize, that you gotta see Beauty and the Beast, definitely find out which showtime is going to work best with your schedule. Now, of course, this is going to be a good one to see when the wait times for other rides are really high, so that late morning, early afternoon time frame might be a good time to go see it. A lot of the same can be said about Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. That's a behind-the-scenes look at major stunts and explosions, how they're done for hotshot films. It's a big covered stadium-style theater with some super cool special effects. Before you pick a showtime for this one, see what the hourly forecast is looking like. The show could be canceled or cut short if the weather starts looking bad. Special stunt effects plus rain, not a safe combo. And same for Beauty and the Beast too on that one. The first time in forever Frozen Sing-Along is an indoor theater with great AC. It's not called Frozen for nothing. It's a fun, upbeat, interactive show. Can also be quite the knee slapper at times. So if it's really gonna rain at some point during your day, this is a good one to hit up during that time. Muppet Vision 3D, Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, and Vacation Fun, an original animated short, run constantly throughout the day. Out of the 3 of those, Muppet Vision 3D is of course a personal favorite of mine that never gets old, even if the 3D is slightly outdated. But all 3 shows are inside and a great way to pass time in the afternoon when all the ride lines are pushing those really intimidating wait times. Although it's not back yet, Fantasmic should be making its big return later this year. We're keeping our ear to the ground, waiting for an official date. We'll give you that as soon as we hear anything. Join our newsletter. It's free. The link to join is in the description. We'll get you that information as soon as we get it. Upon its return, Fantasmic's going to have added scenes, an updated Pocahontas sequence, and new special effects. But here's the thing that we're still to be determining. In the past, Fantasmic could have... Sorry, that was my Western New York A there. Did you hear that? My Fantasmic. That would have select nights where it'd have 2 showtimes. If that's the case again, the second showtime tends to be lots less busy than the first. It's kind of like at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, going to the second parade instead of the first parade. It's just much less crowded, meaning you can hit up a couple more rides during the first show and catch the second run later on. Since Fantasmic's going to be really popular on its return, I'd suggest getting in line for this one 30 to 40 minutes in advance. You'll be able to find the outdoor theater close to Tower of Terror off Sunset Boulevard. Again, pulling from past info here, but before Fantasmic's extended closure, we tended to find the best viewing areas toward the center of the amphitheater, but I'd also say a seat a little further back gives you a better view of the full picture. But if you sit in either the first or second row of bleachers, you're definitely going to get wet. Fantasmic uses a lot of water effects to pull the whole thing off. There's also a lot of fire, so it gets real hot down there. The spray from the effects is relentless for those front row guests. So just heads up, if you want to be like kind of part of the show in that way, than sit in the front 2 rows of the bleachers. All right, food time at Hollywood Studios. Now, Hollywood Studios has great shows. It has great rides, but it does not necessarily have all the best food. That said, this is why you're here. This is why you count on us. You can still track down some stellar eats in Hollywood Studios, and we're going to tell you where. Some of our personal favorite fast eats we like to track down while taking a break between rides include the Glimmer and Shimmer Blondie at Backlot Express, the Carrot Cake Cookie at Trolley Car Cafe, Lunchbox Tarts over at Woody's Lunchbox, and Tachos, by the way, those are awesome. Cold Brew Black Calf at Katsaka's Kettle, and the Wookie Cookie also at Backlot Express. Like, Backlot Express means a lot to us, okay? I really, really like that. Quick service dining, fast food dining is pretty straightforward at Hollywood Studios, but we do have to applaud ABC Commissary for its menu overhaul a while back, which brought with it unique items like shrimp tacos and the buffalo grilled cheese sandwich. If you want more adventurous fast food choices, head into Galaxy's Edge, hit up Ronto Roasters for their Ronto wraps, or Docking Bay 7 for other intergalactic space food that will be very iffy for picky eaters, so check out the menu ahead of time. Although we're not big fans of the quick service offerings in the Sunset Ranch Market, I do have to give a quick shout out to Fairfax Fare. If you're wanting a pretty decent hot dog, maybe even a great hot dog, their new menu of options can hook you up. The one restaurant that really shines in Hollywood Studios for A-plus quality food is Hollywood Brown Derby. That's a signature sit-down restaurant that's got a variety of California-inspired cuisine. It's got burgers, cheese plates, famous Cobb salad, steaks. If you can't get a reservation for this one, try getting on the walk-up wait list for the Hollywood Brown Derby Lounge, which is outdoors. You won't have the whole menu at your disposal, but you will be able to order select appetizers and a variety of cocktails and other spirits. But not gonna lie, eating at Brown Derby can take some time, and you got a lot of rides to ride. The most unique and themed dining in Hollywood Studios is over at 50's Primetime Cafe and Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater. Now, those are at opposite sides of the park. 50's Primetime is set in a retro-style household with plenty of sassy family members that'll pick on you, all in good fun. And Sci-Fi Dine-In is exactly what it sounds like. You'll sit in a convertible car and watch super cheesy black and white sci-fi clips while eating diner-style food in a very dimly lit setting. Reservations for these restaurants go quick, especially Sci-Fi Dine-In, so mark 60 days before your trip on your calendar and get those advanced dining reservations as soon as you can. For character dining, you'll want to book a reservation for Hollywood and Vine. For breakfast, this buffet features Disney Junior characters that you're not going to see at any other character dining experience, and lunch and dinner have Minnie and Friends for Minnie's seasonal dining. And don't forget about the newest option that'll be opening sometime in 2022. Who knows when? We don't have exact dates for literally anything right now. That'll be over at Toy Story Land, Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. This is going to be a sit-down restaurant that shrinks you down to the size of a toy while you enjoy a variety of barbecue dishes. We're already predicting it's going to be a pretty popular option since people do love their shiny new stuff in Disney, so keep checking back with us for an official launch date. Maybe we'll get one soon. Other important stuff for Hollywood Studios. Do you want to meet a snowman? Because you can. Olaf can be found for meet and greets over at Celebrity Spotlight, but this frozen friend is mighty popular, which is why he has a lightning lane reservation that you can make if you're all burnt out on the rides. Mickey and Minnie can be found strutting their finest attire at Red Carpet Dreams, and the Animation Courtyard has a bunch of character meet and greet opportunities like Disney Junior pals in the courtyard, like Vampirina, the super creepy Fancy Nancy, and other friends. Pluto's in Animation Courtyard, Sully is at Walt Disney Presents, BB-8's at Star Wars Launch Bay, Chewbacca and Darth Vader are also back at Star Wars Launch Bay. In Galaxy's Edge, you're going to see lots of familiar faces, or I guess I should say masks, scrolling the grounds of Batuu, while in many other areas around Hollywood Studios, you'll see some surprise appearances from those classic Disney pals like Chip and Dale, and Goofy and his son Max. If you're looking for the ultimate Star Wars experience, you can always make reservations to build some custom creations, like your very own lightsaber at Savi's Workshop, or a droid companion like my friend Fred, who's my droid, from the Droid Depot. These experiences will cost you a pretty penny though, so make sure to set aside a budget for them ahead of time. And last but not least, a great way to escape the crowds, the heat, the commotion, the lines, as well as learn some Walt Disney history in the process, can be found in the Walt Disney Presents One Man's Dream self-guided tour building. This area is super cool, especially for all you Disney buffs out there. All right, insider exclusive tips for Hollywood Studios. Get ready. If you're getting bored waiting in all those queue lines, download the Play Disney Parks app. This has several games designed for specific ride queues to help you pass the time. Even outside the queues though, Play Disney Parks can still help add a little imagination and immersion to your Disney day, especially in Galaxy's Edge. This is where you're going to find the Star Wars data pad, and that's going to help you translate the Arabash language, hack into technology. You can actually have things happen on the Millennium Falcon, which is very cool. You can collect cargo and accept missions. Speaking of accepting missions, if you get one of the new Magic Band Plus designs, you'll have the chance to unlock even more bounty hunter quests over there with your data pad. To start this interactive scavenger hunt around Batuu, you'll need to head over to the Batuu Bounty Hunters Guild and grab a mission from the job board, which is located across from Savi's workshop. All right, are we ready for Disney Springs and the hotels? This is your 5th day in the park, your 5th perfect day. If you got an extra day to spend outside those parks, you don't have to leave the Disney bubble if you don't want to. There are still plenty of things you can do without worrying about purchasing an extra park ticket. At the Springs Shopping District, you'll find tons of stores and so many places to eat. And really, these are the best places to eat in Disney World. I'm not even going to lie. There's really no question in my mind that Disney Springs beats out every single park for food at this point. And we can have that conversation if you want to. But I just think the Disney Springs restaurants even beat Epcot's restaurants right now. So you've got like Chef Art Smith's Homecoming, you got Chicken Guy, Morimoto Asia, Haleo, but you'll also want to find different ways to fill your afternoon because you can't eat everywhere, y'all. You just can't. So here are ways to fill your afternoon in Disney Springs. You can watch a movie at the AMC theaters. That's a great way to spend a rainy afternoon in Disney World. Go bowling at Splitsville Luxury Lanes. Don't forget to get the Dole Whip cocktail when you're there, and also the sushi's really good. You can ride in a tethered hot air balloon over there at the Aerophile Balloon. You can create a Lego figurine of yourself at the Lego store, catch a free concert at lots of Disney Springs locations, or sail in a half boat, half vehicle amphicar right next to the boathouse. One of our favorite things to do over at Disney Springs, though, is to snack around the Springs. Gideon's Bakehouse is the most popular dessert destination in the shopping district, so much so you'll more than likely have to get on a virtual wait list just to get in line for one of those massive cookies. The good thing about the virtual wait list is that even if you do get on it and have a massive wait of like 2 hours, yeah, I'm not kidding, it's that popular, you won't have to worry about spending all that time in line. Just continue about your Disney Springs day per usual and let the time pass naturally. Just keep your phone's ringer on so you can hear when you get a text notification telling you it's your turn. If waiting in a massive line, virtual or not, does not sound appealing to you, here are some other sweet treat shops we like to munch at. Salt and Straw has those unique ice cream flavors. Ghirardelli's Soda Fountain and Chocolate Shop for traditional ice cream flavors and sundaes that are kind of overpriced, not gonna lie. Swirls on the Water is the brand new Dole Whip location over there in Disney Springs. Marketplace Snacks has those character bubble waffles. The Ganachery is for fresh chocolates, and Emirates Patisserie for those seasonal petite cakes that are very expensive but very pretty. The great thing about Disney Springs is that many places stay open after the parks close too. Now you're definitely going to need to look at each place's individual hours and check when they close each day of your trip, but the important thing to take away here is that you don't have to wait for a break day to visit the Springs if you don't want to, or you simply don't have a 5th day scheduled into your itinerary. You can swing by here after a day in the parks for some last minute shopping and a late night meal. We just did a video that had a bunch of different itineraries for each day, and Springs is a great place to go after your Animal Kingdom day because Animal Kingdom does close relatively early. Disney Springs is also a good place to spend your day one or your last day in Disney World when you just flew in and you only have half a day. That's a good time to go to the Springs. Not to mention parking is free here. And when you arrive at Disney Springs, you'll also be able to grab a bus to any other Disney resort or park, which can be a big game changer for you since Disney buses can't travel between hotels. And since we're on the subject, let's talk about those hotels. There are several Disney World owned resorts around property that you're more than welcome to check out during your vacation. They got several free and premium activities, dining, beachside hammocks, sometimes even fireworks views from the parks. Specifically for hanging around at the Magic Kingdom or Epcot area resorts, you're definitely going to be able to see the fireworks from those. The only big downer of checking several of these Disney hotels out in one day is that you won't be able to drive up to them if you're not directly staying at them or if you don't have a reservation for one of their restaurants. But like I mentioned earlier, you can still take a bus, you can take a monorail, you can take a boat, you can take a Skyliner to any of those hotels. Resort hopping is lots easier if you're exploring different hotels along the Skyliner and the monorail loop. Many times we like to escape the parks for an hour or two to enjoy one of the resort's restaurants because those are much less crowded in the middle of the day. If few of the places we try to visit often for a nice meal are, of course, Ohana at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. I'm sure you've heard me talk about that once or twice. Steakhouse 71 at Disney's Contemporary Resort. Yep, that one as well. Boma and Sanaa at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, and lots of others you'll definitely want to make reservations for 60 days out, just like you would at any other Disney Parks restaurant. By the way, we've got some videos around here that rank every single restaurant in Disney World, so definitely check those out. Now, whether you go to Disney Springs, the hotels, or do a little bit of both on your free day, try planning for this day outside of the parks in the middle of your vacation. Maybe after your first 2 parks and before the last 2 parks. Think of it as a halftime performance during a big football game. You can have fun and regain your stamina before jumping into the second half. All right, now you've got an artillery filled with info to have the perfect Disney World vacation, or at least close to perfect. But one final reminder, head over to disneyfoodblog.com/Disney checklists now, like right now, so we can get those park checklists sent straight to your email ASAP. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.